This time next week, President Trump could begin to dismantle one of the Obama administration's biggest agreements, the Iran nuclear deal. Multiple reports here in Washington now indicate that the president plans to announce that he will decertify the deal, saying it's not in the national interest of the United States. While the White House is pushing back on the notion that anything is completely set in stone, lawmakers on Capitol Hill seem to think the question about the future of Iran sanctions will, in fact, end up back in their laps. Correspondent Kevin Corke is at the White House tonight with what we're learning. Good evening, Kevin.
Hey there, Brett. You're right about that. In fact, at this hour, the president is meeting with his senior military cadre here at the White House. No doubt the Iran nuclear deal would be among the topics they would discuss. Now, October 15th is the date by which the president has to choose whether to certify or recertify or simply get rid of the Iran nuclear deal. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but that decision is playing out against a backdrop of a fierce debate inside the administration over whether to strengthen it or get rid of it altogether.
The president's team has presented a united strategy that the national security team all stands behind and supports, and the president will make that announcement soon.
With an October 15th certification deadline looming, White House officials today acknowledged that President Trump has already made a decision about the future of U.S. participation in the Iran nuclear agreement, a decision made after consultation with an experienced senior cadre with different viewpoints on whether the U.S. should remain a party to the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action.
Iran is not in material breach of the agreement.
I believe at this point in time, absent indications to the contrary, it is something the president should consider staying with.
While Generals Mattis and Dunford think there's merit to staying in the deal, the president could decide to withdraw the U.S. altogether or stop just short by decertifying the deal but adding more sanctions. Decertification would come by way of the Iran Nuclear Agreement Review Act, which requires the president every 90 days to determine whether the deal is in the best interest of the U.S. It's a U.S. law, by the way, so it's not subject to the international deal struck with the Iranians. It calls on the president to certify that Iran is transparently, verifiably, and fully implementing the agreement, and that continuing the JCPOA is vital to national security. A high bar, says UN Ambassador Nikki Haley.
If he thinks that the deal is, that the situation is not in the best interests of the American public, then he doesn't certify it.
It's possible that Haley tipped the administration's hand in a tweet yesterday, praising Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton's clear understanding of the Iranian regime. Cotton, who met with the president today in the Oval Office, has repeatedly called for the administration to abandon the deal.
Frankly, that deal is an embarrassment to the United States, and I don't think you've heard the last of it. Believe me.
2 weeks ago, the president called the Iran deal an embarrassment, but experts warn that doesn't mean he's any more likely to abandon the accord or have the final say on it.
The final decision would go back to the Congress under the terms of the Corker-Cardin legislation, and it would give Congress 60 days to make a decision about how to respond to the president's decision that presumably the agreement is not in U.S. national interest.
Plenty of criticism on Capitol Hill in particular if the president were to decide to pull the U.S. out of the deal. Brett, Jack Reed, a senator from the state of Rhode Island, a Democrat, saying that it would be a costly strategic mistake for the U.S. to pull out of the deal. He said it would frankly isolate us from our allies and partners. Now, as you point out, we could hear perhaps by Wednesday if the president wants to make a broader speech about Iran policy. White House pushing back on that tonight. We'll just have to wait and see, Brett.
And we'll see if he says anything with the military leaders he's meeting with tonight at the White House. Kevin Corke live in the North Lawn. Kevin, thanks.